And that's why you're so much more fit. You're welcome.
Well, there's dramatic.
We're live.
Thank you. Oh, wait. All right, we're live. All right, we'll call to order this regular session meeting of the Park City School Board on September 20th at 4 p.m. All rise for the. Wendy, would you like to lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, first, before we go into consent agenda, I know it's not your last meeting, but I just want to say what a huge loss it is that you are moving on, and we are going to miss you a ton. So I know we'll get to torture you more next month, but consent agenda. Can I please get a motion to approve the consent agenda that includes regular session minutes of August 16th, 2022, closed minutes of August 16th, 2022, counts payable registers of August 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 22nd, 23rd, 26th, 29th, 30th, 31st, September 2nd, 7th, 12th, 13th, and 15th, 2022. Travel request, authorized purchase of land, LEA specific educator license, school counselor report, personnel information, July and August revenues and expenditures.
I make a motion to adopt the consent agenda as read.
Second. Perfect. Do we have any discussion? Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye. That is unanimous. All right, we will move on to our employee groups. Jay, would you like to? Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you all too. All right. All right. Howdy, everyone. So PCA would like to make a few comments on kind of a variety of topics to me today. First, so although construction is coming fits and starts, we're excited to be working on the realignment committees for the various grade levels. We believe there's an incredible opportunity to collaborate on a new vision for schools in Park City. Various PCA members are working across the grade levels. We're excited to continue that process moving forward. We look forward to hearing the eventual results of the audits. We can begin the negotiations process. PCAs and the gathering members interested in working on the negotiations team. In a few weeks, we'll be polling our members on their preferences for a new contract. Once again, we'd like to thank the board and the district for offering to negotiate early. Similar to the construction, we see this as an opportunity for a new way forward, again, solidifying Park City as a leader in the state for teacher compensation. Today, the board will be voting on policy 9050. Even before 9050, teachers have followed the district's approval guidelines for novels and curriculum, getting text approved through the novel adoption process. We appreciate the district and board has involved teachers in the process of constructing a policy that fits within state law on a really tight timeline. The dialogue and cooperation between the district and our librarians, English teachers, and other members has been greatly appreciated. Like always, our primary goal is student learning. Our teachers want to provide a relevant, viable, challenging curriculum that offers students a variety of perspectives about the world. The stories and narratives, novels, and other curriculum are a foundational piece of that experience. We're confident our teachers, as certified qualified professionals, have made excellent decisions about the content they teach. We believe there's a lot to look forward to in the future for PCSD. Thanks to Park City, the community as a whole, for the continued support as we navigate the changes in the school community and district coming up. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Dee, would you like to join us?
Thank you for giving me a few minutes here.
Absolutely.
I'm here on behalf of the Park City Employment Involvement Group. We're looking forward to a fantastic school year. A little background on EIG was approved and recognized as a bargaining group and allowed to participate in negotiations. Our group was established so that all classified employees have access to information pertaining to their employment and compensation. Our purpose is to provide information to employees and to negotiate the best compensation package for all classified employees, not just those who pay dues. The goal of EIG is to continue to work professionally and diligently to get information out to classified employees, to protect the rights of the classified employees to have a voice and allow all classified employees to vote on their compensation package. Our goal for this year is to improve work environment, represent all employees equally, improve communications, allow all employees a voice and involvement, improve overall employee morale. I'd like to thank the board for increasing the RHTA for all eligible employees and recognizing that all classified employees are struggling to make ends meet during these trying economic times. We are concerned about the number of open positions in our schools as instructional aides and positions in child nutrition, and we offer our support to help in fulfilling these hard to fill positions. Thank you for allowing us to participate in representing all classified employees, and we are looking forward to starting the negotiation process.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, I can, Zach, do you want to go and then I'll have you go, Mike? Does that work?
Good.
All right, go.
So I'm Zach Smith. I'm the student on the board for student council, and we had our homecoming week the week before last. And some of the events we did was Powder Puff and Powder Buff, which was girls playing flag football and guys playing volleyball. And then we had a bonfire, which was very fun to go to. We also had the homecoming game, which was versus the Maury Spartans, and we won 50-0.
Yeah.
So we pretty much beat them. Pretty well. And
The mercy rule came in effect.
Yeah.
It was like, okay.
And then we had our homecoming dance, which was the Saturday after the football game. And it was held at the Canyons Village, which was a really cool venue to have. And we had over 700 people attend.
So well done.
So well done.
Yeah.
And I have to say on behalf of Anne, who's not here, whose daughter is a sophomore this year, went and she said the inclusivity of the homecoming was amazing for everybody. So congratulations. You guys did a great job.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Tanner, are you ready to come on up?
It's the operations update for the 20th of September, 22. Just a backdrop on COVID. We're still low in the area, low in the state, but we should mention it to make sure that you know that we're watching it. We've got all of our back shop mitigations still in place, clicking away. We do have a grant funded filtration unit in every classroom that desired one, every office that desired one. We've got one still in storage, anticipating putting them into new rooms once the construction is complete. We're watching closely for any signs of disease acceleration, and we'll tighten protocol if necessary. And we have plenty of tests, PPE, all that stuff in hand in case we run into an outbreak. For buildings and grounds, we're wrapping up $4 million in separate capital outlay projects right now. A lot of, you've probably seen concrete work, paint, asphalt, that kind of stuff. Some work over at the high school. The Eccles catwalk finished up yesterday, and we're going to release the facility as soon as we can to our outside vendors who use it. And as I mentioned, Todd and his team are still making sure all the COVID mitigations behind the scenes are still in place. Advanced filtration, changing those filters out, enhanced cleaning, all the kinds of things that we've grown accustomed to the last couple of years. Transportation, we still have challenges there. We have 2 drivers in training, fortunately, for sub positions only, but that should take some pressure off of some of the other drivers. We do have our driver dispatchers out right now. We'll come back on the 3rd of October. And those duties are split between them, already stretched off as staff, as you can imagine. So both Rich and Raina are out driving a lot of times. Sometimes we don't have anybody in the office to receive calls, but we're doing the best that they can. And our mechanics are going to drive when they're needed to. So right now, our plan is to consolidate routes as much as possible. If we do have to start restricting access, we'll be restricting the after-school programming first. And we've done some of that at Parley's already. We've been able to maintain the other routes so far. We do have a new lift being installed, the second new lift in the garage. Right now, this one was funded through insurance coverage money from the flood that we had last December. And we have space available passengers riding now on all of our buses. All of them have hit capacity except bus number 34 at Jeremy. That's the only one that still has a wait list available. If we do get some more drivers, we have another bus. We possibly potentially at loading that one up and putting another bus on that route. Child nutrition services, same thing. Got staffing challenges still continuing. Our ECR manager is out through early October, and John's filling in there. I just saw him in the kitchen this morning there to do great work. Jeremy, we did hire a new cook, and Trailside was still 1 cook short. So applicant pool is still constrained as it has been before. The suppliers are reporting that some of the supply chain restrictions are easing up, and we're going to be able to get more certainty in our carbon menu planning this year. John's doing a great job of keeping morale high amongst this employee group despite the staffing changes. Human resources, Shad and his team have started video interviewing with a utility called Spark that allows, you probably have seen some of that already. We're able to access the employee interviews and access them on the time that works for you. It's been a great tool so far for us. We extended an offer to an accountant candidate, and we're considering options to fill the DA role with a meeting with the board on Friday. Recruiting efforts continue for many of our positions that haven't been filled. Those are in process. But we do have mitigations in place to address any shortfalls that are happening because of staffing shortages, where people are splitting assignments and making things work. But we still do have chronic shortages in CNS, child nutrition service, transport, the aquatic center, and coaches. Security in wake of the Uvalde shooting, the emphasis has been with the building principals and staff on exterior door closing, making sure that those are closed. A very simple, very effective way of securing the property. We do have the high school door open software installed with screeners at non-authorized entrances if they're propped open. We are in the process of installing vape detectors in all the high school bathrooms. Those are mostly on order right now. With Summit County Sheriff's Office and their Unified Dispatch Center that controls Park City Police, they've selected Aegis system as the system they will use for instant alert notification within our schools. And that system will allow a teacher in a classroom to hit a button to enact a lockdown from their desktop or from their personal phone. A graphic will be sent to the dispatch center, which can be forwarded to the responding cruisers, which will show the exact location where that call came from. So it should shorten response times It should be standardized across all the school districts in the county. The installation date for it, though, is still to be determined. We do have some teacher desired security classes under development right now with the Park City Police Department and a vendor. We are looking at coordinating a mass casualty exercise with the Park City Police Department probably in February, where we'll have staff volunteer and the students volunteer. Maybe our theater department can get involved. It'll be in an evening or weekend time when the schools are empty, but it's something that's a great opportunity for responding officers to get into our communities. The Safety Committee continues its great work this year. First date is 15 November if the board wants to come along. Yeah, from 10 to 12 in the morning. And we do serve Chevron donuts at those meetings. So, that's all I have. We'll do the construction update here in a minute.
Perfect. Thanks, Mr. Skinner. Dr. Gilday?
All right, I have a very quick 25 slide PowerPoint. 25 slides because remember I'm academic and right, so doing curriculum and superintendent talk. So Lori, I think, has it for me.
Yeah.
Of course, we have our beautiful mountain view as the first slide, so we have to see that. So this month, I'm going to talk about just a few things. I'll give you the overview here. Oh, there we go. Here we're able to do slideshow. Over there to the right. Oh, there you go. I'm not used to doing this. It fills up the screen. Perfect. All right, then you can go ahead and do this beautiful mountain view. This is just a little image of each of the schools do PBIS, positive behavior intervention support. So here's just a quick photo from the playground over at McMullen where they do McMullen Rocks. So they're looking at responsibility, organization, cooperation, and kindness. And when you're at the school on different days, you see different craft tables signed up and all kinds of different activities for students to do during the school day. So, or during the lunchtime. So it's kind of fun to see these activities happening. And even the high school has a special designation and a seal this year with their PBIS pillars. So today I'm going to talk about 5 major things. So the state assessment results from last spring, so that you can get a quick visual on how we're doing. Those will be released to the public October 3rd. So you're getting a quick first look. A little update, we had a new family event these past 2 Thursdays, one in English, one in Spanish. So great opportunities for families to learn about the school district that they've joined and ask questions. So that was very well attended, popular event. The secondary alignment team, Jake alluded to in his talk, very exciting as we look at the future of Park City Schools. Little update on our equity team and how they're approaching this year's work, and then some policy updates. We have a lot of policies up for approval tonight. As we look always, we keep our mission and our vision central to inspire and support all students equitably to achieve their academic and social potential. The community in 2017-18 adopted this mission and this statement with each word being very intentional and kind of before some of the politicization of these words. But we try to drive our decisions based on that, as well as the vision, which is the national definition of whole child development, where our students are safe, supported, engaged, challenged, and healthy. And we try to repeat that as often as we can, because again, if we're making decisions along those lines, we're doing the right things for our students. And our collective work together as a board, administrator, educator, staff team are to ensure safety, achievement, and opportunities for all. Heading into our state assessment results from last spring, I'm happy to tell you all that we had very strong participation rates, that our academic score sets do represent a return to pre-pandemic level of achievement, that we had notable areas of growth that you'll quickly see in the charts that I'll show you, and that we do have some continued focus areas always. So the next slide is just the schedule of the release dates of this 21-22, what I call autopsy data. So the data is meant to look at the instructional system as a whole, not meant to be a ding against any kind of student or any kind of student group. It's just showing us how we're trending over time. So October 3rd, again, that's when you'll see the big results across the state. So here is our quick preview. The gray bars, gray vertical bar is the state proficiency rate for this testing period. And the darkest color, maroon or purple, whatever color you want to call it, are our scores. So if you look across the English language arts across every single grade level 3rd through 10th, you will see that our students are scoring above, sometimes significantly above, the state proficiency levels. You can see great results there in 3rd grade. You can see great results there in 9th grade, so that's very exciting. So we are outperforming state proficiency rates across all grade levels, and we can definitely say that this is making it look like we are in kind of where we were pre-pandemic, kind of the 19 scores. We've rebounded, which is great news. With regard to math, it's a very similar picture, but lots to celebrate here. Look at that 8th grade math with very focused efforts. That team zeroed in. We're very proud. Caleb's here tonight. He can kind of stand up and give the, big standing ovation, but really exciting for the treasure team. Really proud of their efforts. But again, you can see that in every grade, we did outperform state proficiency levels. Another success story is science. Once again, take a look at that 8th grade with very focused work in PD, the teachers, and really the new curriculum. We really believe the SEED standards curriculum, looking across the grades, you're seeing some pretty significant gains in science as a whole. So we're pretty happy with these notable gains. And as we opened the school year at Convocation, we were able to celebrate with each of our schools who have lots of good, great recognitions and awards and accomplishments. So happy with these results and happy that we are rebounding from that pandemic. As we look overall, there are many things top of mind for parents across the country. And some of the top issues that come up, Mike talks about every month, school safety and security. We're always attending to the quality of instruction our students are receiving, what kinds of individualized supports they can receive to achieve their personal best. Access to technology, of course, we have pretty strong access to that with one-to-one, and then certain courses, making sure that we have the breadth and depth of courses. So hopefully we hit many of those top education issues and are able to keep ahead of those. Our secondary realignment teams, that's a big part of our work this year, is looking at what 6-12 will look like once we have a 6-8 middle school and a 9-12 comprehensive high school. We have lots of staff participating. Student input will be coming in that. There are work teams that are meeting every month, and then we will be providing the Board of Ed mid and end of year updates, so you can hear the different things that they're tackling. And the next slide shows some more detail with that, things that have happened so far and the things that are coming up next. We're looking a lot at personalized competency-based learning progression, what that means as a state, what that means as a system. We're looking at other school districts that have gone through this same kind of reconfiguration to make sure we can avoid any of the pitfalls they might have hit. And definitely looking at things that are available statewide to keep us on the leading edge of providing opportunities for our kids. The equity team, we took a little pause over the summer, gave everybody a breath, and then put out a new internal survey to see which staff might like to participate again this year. We're going to meet 4 times for the school year. We're going to meet 3 to 5 in the afternoon on these 4 dates, where we will be reviewing data, student achievement and attainment data, any kind of opportunity, access gaps. We're looking at 3 model policies and trying to ensure we have a great policy proposal for the Board of Ed, and then continuing with training in the realm of equity, access, and opportunity. So here a little bit more detail. These are the goals set up for the year, and we are following a document called Equitable Practices throughout the system. Utah has adopted several years ago the portrait of graduate competencies, which go beyond just academic and look at all of the career life readiness skills, communications, having a well-balanced life, being a leader, all the different things students can do to be successful. And we talk a lot about how to measure and define and describe those things. Here is the PBIS chart for the high school: safe, prepared, compassionate, hardworking. And when you look at that, it's PCHS. So it goes along with the acronym of Park City High School. Pretty fun. And we all care about being career ready, college ready, and life ready upon graduation. As we talk about policy and governance leadership, I'll give a little overview of some of the policies we'll be talking about tonight, a couple that are bigger. So we have updates to the existing policy, which is 9050. That's the adoption of instructional materials. But then we have a new policy called 9051. And 9051 is something called sensitive materials policy. That policy is required by law, needs to be adopted by October 1st. And we have worked, as Jake mentioned in his presentation, with our library staff, as well as the attorney from the Utah School Board Association, to make sure that we have a compliant policy that fully describes and defines the parameters for this material review, adoption, and any kind of reconsideration request. So everything is along legal guidelines and follows specific procedural steps that are outlined in that policy. So some of these policies are a little bit longer. You're looking at like 5-6 pages for these policies. When a teacher selects materials for their classroom, there are certain augmented materials and supplements that teachers can select that don't go through this entire process. But something like a full novel or a primary source would go through this particular review and selection process. As we look at sensitive materials, I won't read all of this to you, but basically it just describes and defines, what the law requires, why this policy is coming up now. It's based on a law that was adopted in May of 2022. Districts originally had until September 1st to adopt, but because the model policy didn't come out until July, we then had some time that we were able to review this and seek feedback from our stakeholders in August and September. So we've done that. We're ready with the policy for you to hear and see tonight. There are considerations and cases that we'll be looking at with this sensitive materials policy. It specifically links to library materials, but we see the crossover to the instructional material side with a classroom novel. I do want to remind all of you that we always have the opportunity to opt out or to have other selections for students. So we do have some flexibility in how we design the courses. So we already have that. There are going to be certain standards that books or materials would need to meet in order to be reconsidered. Something like anatomy is not sexually graphic, so that would not be banned or otherwise reconsidered. Dracula does contain a scene of sexual contact, but has already been determined not to be harmful to minors just because it has a scene like that in it. However, you are not going to see things like Penthouse in the school libraries or in the classroom collections. So there is a difference in what kinds of things are adopted, approved, and or reconsidered. But you're not going to see adult magazine type content like that in the schools. Are you going to see some controversial materials? Probably. That's usually what makes literature strong. That usually makes it worthy of reading. If there's something that's piques your interest or talks about human growth and development, which is a normal process, right? So we have to think about that as we think about reconsideration. Parents who do object to specific instructional or library materials and believe they are sensitive materials can request a review of those materials by filing a simple form. It's like a one-page form. It's available via a link within the published policy, and any parent can do that, or any stakeholder with a child in the school can submit that. That form then goes to a review team. The makeup of the review team is determined by statutory guidance, and then it's listed in the policy. It then goes through a review cycle, and a decision is then made by that committee. There can be an appeal to the superintendent. There can then be an appeal to the board. If the board, though, becomes involved in a community conversation about a specific book, we then put the board in jeopardy of not being able to be the appeal body. So we try to keep the board out of the conversation, not because we don't care about the board, not because we don't think the board is very important, but we want you to be able to be a neutral arbiter of this result. Because in case the committee becomes passionate or the superintendent becomes passionate, we need you to be a little more distanced from it and be able to make a decision. That decision by policy then becomes final. So that is the way the sensitive materials process will work. There is a 30 to 60-day window if a book is challenged for us to get through the training for the committee, identify the committee, get through the training of the committee, and then go through reading the book and going through the cycle of review criteria. There are several flow charts. There are several descriptive criteria that need to be considered in these challenges. So it's not just a district decision. It's kind of a bigger, kind of a statewide picture of how we will go about doing this. Once a material has been challenged and the review completed, it can be challenged again 3 years later, but it does get a 3-year shelf life. When something is being considered for challenge, it remains available. However, a parent may request that their child not have access to that material, and that is fine, similar to how we do that anyway with alternative selections. But I wanted you to know that this is all outlined in policy. But tonight we have other policies up for review as well. Everything from professional development, which hadn't been updated in a while, to athletic travel, curriculum courses, academic acceleration. Some of them are very non-substantive changes, but we do review policies usually on a 5 to 7 year cycle, or when a law or statute changes. So we have all kinds of other policies as well. So there you go, 25 slides. Pretty quickly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, facilities update. Todd, did you wanna, or Mike, who wants to, Mike, who's coming up? You guys.
The exciting stuff, huh? Construction. As the board is aware, we are kind of responding to 2 different approval processes. 4 of our schools are under the approval authority of the county, and 2 of our projects are under the approval authority of the city. And 2 different sets of rules are being applied in different levels of veracity, I should say. So I'll just kind of talk to the county schools first. For Jeremy, we did get the conditional use permit completed. The development agreement was reported yesterday, and today we started construction. So we're back on site there. Thank you very much to our teams for making that happen. Ecker Hill, we've run into a bit of a snag that we're creatively navigating through. Ecker Hill was zoned initially as a facility that allowed a school. The zoning after it was built changed to a zoning that did not allow a school. And so now we have to change it back to a zoning that allows a school. But in that zoning that would allow a school, the current Ecker building height exceeds what's allowed within the new zoning. So not only do we have to apply for a new zone, we have to apply for a variance to that height restriction. So that's going to take a little bit of time. But in response to that, we split the work there into 2 pieces. We got the bus lot at Ecker that we've split off as just a safety enhancement, and we're able to work that through the county process with just a building permit and getting a USBE project number assigned to it. And so we hope to have that project complete and start the work there on the 26th, which is next Monday. We do have the traffic mitigation plan in place where we've relocated our bus service to the church next door. Thank you very much to them for helping us out. And we anticipate that the first bid package to be complete in about 6 weeks. The second part that requires a rezone and before we can even get to the conditional use permit, we did put the conditional use permit application in place on the 28th of July. The process to get the USBE project number is about 75% completion. We just don't have a date in which this project is going to get on the Snyderville Basin Planning Commission's docket for approval. The height variance request on that property, however, is going to go to the county council agenda on the 28th of September. And then the package will move on to the Snyderville Basin Planning Commission for rezone and CEP consideration as soon as we can get on the docket. We have their support in that they'll try to move it along as quickly as possible. The other 2 schools, Parley and Trailside, Parley's that fall under the county. We're already starting to coordinate with them on that. The USBE project number packages are starting to be assembled with electronic files that are that are available to the state, person who assigns the numbers. The CUP and rezone applications, the dates for those will be determined, but our construction documents are we anticipate having those on the 22nd of December, right before Christmas, and the 23rd of March for trail site. And start dates of 5 June in both of those next spring. So that's the county schools. The city schools, we've got McPolin in the high school. McPolin, the conditional use permit application is complete, and the package will be delivered to the Park City Planning Commission tomorrow. Project plans are under code review, the second round of code review right now. And the USB project number application is about 75% complete. So we anticipate a restart right about the 10th of October with the state project number assigned, but we don't have the conditional use permit yet in place from the city. We're coordinating closely with them though, and we think they'll allow us to do that, but they could potentially shut it off too. They told us they're not going to stand in our way as long as we got a state project number assigned, but it is a sensitive subject. So like I said, 10th of October is when we anticipate proceeding here. The Park City High School, we bid it also broken into 2 bid packages. The first one involves the site work, the grading work, the location of utilities. We submitted that to the USDE for project number on 20th of September, and we anticipate a start on the 26th of September, again, next Monday, unless we get held up by the city. For Park City High School bid package number 2, which is the overall project, we have the conditional use permit and rezone applications complete. They're going to the Park City Planning Commission tomorrow. The State Board of Education project number application is 75% complete. And again, just like with Parley's, we anticipate starting about the 10th of October, once we have a state project number assigned, prior to the final conditional use permit being granted by the Park City Planning Commission. But again, we're coordinating very closely with the city, and we're talking with their planning team every Monday on a call, and they've been very cooperative so far. We've changed a little bit on the reportings for your visibility on the district website. There's a tile on the main page right now you can click on for construction updates. We'll have the weekly narrative that talks in layman's terms about what's going on in each one of the schools, along with a spreadsheet that shows the progress that things move through the permitting process. We're also going to add a section for each one of the schools that you'll be able to click on. That'll have a picture of what the final product is supposed to look like, the timelines for completion, and then some progress pictures that'll be updated bi-weekly. We also do have the district's owners rep team here, MOCA. We have JD and Paul behind us here if you have any in-depth questions about the permitting process or how things are moved through.
No, the only question I have, how is it then finding people to come back and work after the stoppage, or how's that looking?
For the most part, they've been able to maintain their.
Okay.
So they've been busy other places.
Jeremy looked busy today. So
Yeah.
that was good.
Get real busy.
Okay.
Good. Perfect. And I just saw the email come out to all the Ecker parents too.
Yep.
So that's good. Perfect.
Great.
Thank you guys
Thank
for the
you.
updates.
Yeah.
All right. We will move on to policies for posting. Can I get a motion to approve the following policies? Policies 7005, employee ethics. Policy 9085, college and career readiness. Policy 10030, eligibility for participation in student activities. Policy 10080, student search, and policy 10110, employee student communicable disease.
I make a motion to post policies as stated.
Second.
Perfect. Is there any discussion? No, so all in favor? Aye. Perfect. All right, we will move on to policies for adoption. We have quite a few, and I'm actually going to do this in 2 steps. I'm going to pull the 2 policies that we know we have a lot of comments on out, and then approve those, and then go back and adopt them. Perfect. So can I get a motion to approve the following policies for adoption? Policy 7105, professional development. Policy 9005, curriculum development and management. Policy 9010, curriculum requirements for grades 6 through 8. Policy 9030, alternative language services. Policy 9035, instruction at home or in healthcare facility. Policy 9040, field trips. Policy 9045, district sponsored athletic and academic 6 to 12 student travel. Policy 9046, competitive sports clubs. I'm going to skip the next two. Policy 9076, academic acceleration. Policy 9090, graduation requirements, adult education. Policy 10001, bullying, cyberbullying, abusive conduct. Policy 10011, services for homeless students. Policy 10020, truancy. Policy 10035, concurrent enrollment and early college admissions. And policy 1020, reporting child abuse, renumber 3011.
I make a motion to adopt policies as stated.
Second.
Perfect. Do we have any comments, Lori, on any of those policies that,
Over 950 or 951, no?
yeah, I pulled the 950 and 951 out.
Is it too late to add your name to the sheet?
No, that's cool. Do you have a comment on one of these that you read or on 50 or 51?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Or 950, 951, perfect.
And that's all 950, 951. Okay, perfect. Do we have any discussion on any of these? Do you have any?
Nope.
Perfect. So all in favor of adopting? Aye. Perfect. All right, that's unanimous. All right, so can I get a motion to adopt policy 9050, instructional and library media center materials selection policy, and policy 9051, sensitive materials?
I make a motion to adopt policy 950, 951 as stated.
I second.
Perfect. And I know we have a few comments from the audience. Do you guys have any comments first and then we can move to this, or
Yeah, I have
Do
a
you have
couple
a
questions. Just to follow up. Just to confirm, because it's confusing, 950, 951. Will you state the differences?
Sure, so policy 9050 has been in the district a long time, 1995, I think it was adopted. So here we revised it actually last year, and in that revision, that was when Dr. Hunt was here, and we combined library and instructional materials. So eventually we're probably going to pull this apart, but basically that is how the district goes about adopting and improving core instructional and library materials. What it means to be a core material, how the committee goes about approving that, and how extended primary sources get approved for through the Office of Teaching and Learning, and all of the criteria for that. So that is that's a policy that's been longstanding, talks about novels, talks about nonfiction books. So it's kind of the overall curriculum adoption process. You want to look at it that way. But 9051 is different than the state. 9051 is based on a House bill that was passed in May. House Bill 3374, I believe it is. It's amazing in Utah. You start learning how you start writing codes and numbers. But it is very specific to sensitive materials, most specifically in libraries. So, and there is a specific process in both 9050 and in 9051 on if a parent either wants a different material read in 9050, so a different choice. But in 9051, it's, I don't want my child to receive this in the library, or I don't want anybody to receive this in the library.
Okay, so can I ask a follow-up then? 9050 is the one that applies to the book that's been raised recently with some concern about from some people. And that process was followed. There was an opt-out for families who did not find that. And any appeal to that, the only time the board can get involved is on the appeal process related to instructional materials.
Right, so if we're following 90-50, which is instructional materials, so when the kids got into ninth grade and the teachers sent out their disclosure form and their opt-in form, you know, parents at that point see what the book reading level or book list is for the year, and then even the alternate selection may be listed there.
Okay. So, and then 9051 is related to the state law, and what was the process for developing the written policy that we see tonight that we're adopting?
So the USBE, which is the State Board of Ed, put out a model policy that's very lengthy.
Okay.
So there is a model policy out there, and we adopted the bulk of the model policy. We originally tried to integrate it into 90-50, but it really was not possible to do that because there are different parameters, different kind of committee structure, different forms, and it got just too unwieldy. So we separated those out. And then 90-51 was reviewed with the library team. We had a great team of people volunteer on Fridays to kind of go over this. And we did have the USBA, this Utah School Board Association attorney, work with our team to go through the recommended model policy, but also ways that we could streamline it, make it a little less, you know, it's very, very large policy. So, you know, streamlining it down to 6 pages is, you know, a good thing. So we streamlined it down, but librarians and English teachers could then ask some questions about this and how this changes maybe the way we look at instructional materials or even library books.
Okay. And as Jake mentioned, the teachers have been involved along the way.
Yes,
in
so for our
all of
first draft, if you remember our first
Okay.
draft last month, our teachers were just getting back as their first day of
Okay.
school. So
Okay.
we've done all of this throughout this 20-day review
okay.
period so that teachers and librarians could ask questions, talk about their concerns with this. But again, all of this is not district driven. This
Right.
is state law requiring this, a policy like this be adopted by October 1st.
Thank you. Perfect. Do either of you have any questions or follow-up? No?
It's very, very, I personally think the policy is more graphic. While you're reading the book, actually, it's kind of break it down real well.
Yeah.
It's very well defined and described. But again, each of these little sections then has like a flow chart, you know, different criteria sheets that the committee would go through to rate and rank these materials.
Okay.
Actually, I have one question. So
Yes.
what was the, we put a policy in place a few years ago, right? That allowed parents to challenge and find replacement books, right?
90-50.
Right. So, but this, so the timeline on this one is 30 to 60 days. And how many committee members do we need?
The committee makeup is defined or described within the policy.
Yeah, so I saw that. So it has, you know, I saw all the requisites, right? of all the
Member
different-
and a CC
But-
member.
So it's just one community member, one teacher, one,
2 teachers,
Okay.
usually one that's teaching the course and one that maybe is a librarian.
and then who from a functional perspective selects the committee? Is that the superintendent or is that?
It is not the superintendent. The parent rep is chosen, facilitator is chosen by the district. So we would say, you know, Lindsay, you're going to facilitate this one, or we're going to hire an outside facilitator for this one. Then an administrator will be on the team, a licensed teacher in ELA, a licensed, usually teacher, school librarian, and then a parent.
Okay, and it's selected by whoever the leader is.
SEC, the parent is usually through the school SEC, and usually it's happening at a school site because usually it's a school-based technique, so it's a school-based challenge because it's based on usually a certain grade level or grade span.
Okay,
I might have missed it, and I apologize if I did. Is it 1950 or 51? Is it stated in there that parents need to be notified of the book and the alternatives?
90-50, the instructional
90-50 is
materials.
there, okay.
at the beginning of the
Okay.
year.
Right, and that's at the beginning of the year, we have a disclosure document, it's like a syllabus, right, that's kind of sent out so that parents have an idea of what the approved reading
Right.
materials may be. Last year, the ninth grade just had like 10 choices and they did kind of like a monthly book club, so it didn't really come up as an issue. This year they were reading it as a whole group, and that's usually
That was
when
be
they
my
have
next
more
question if
questions.
this has come up for, okay.
usually more questions when it's a whole class reading it versus maybe a selection by genre or something.
You also mentioned, sorry, possibly looking at a rating system. I know there's other districts in the state that have done that. You said we are looking at doing that in the future.
Part of this policy does link us over to some, but it's kind of a state flow chart. It's not really our own.
Right.
I have one last technical question. So in the draft of 9051, letter G, pornographic or indecent means, and then material that meets any of the following in Utah code is crossed out, and it lists 5 different qualifiers. Is it still any of those, or is it all of them? And how does that rank versus the other kind of metrics here, such as you described earlier, right? So, if one of them says taken as a whole does not have serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value for minors, right? So if you determine that a book, let's say it's Dracula, for example, or a book that has Pulitzer Prize or a National Book Award winner that has been voted as having serious literary, artistic value, right? But it at the same time violates number 5 or number 4. Which one of those, is it any of them, or because they contradict each other, right? One of them says if it's determined as having value, which I would imagine most teachers would argue on that committee if they've already decided that they want a book as their curriculum, right? How does number 3 reconcile with number 5?
That's what the work of the committee ends up being. So they actually have to read the book. So if you become a member of one of these committees, you have to go through and take the time to review the entirety of the text, and then you go through these different flow charts to be able to rank and rate.
Okay, so it's a completely subjective process based on
Reading of the book.
based on people's independent views of the
Well,
A group is gonna have to come together, correct? So I imagine that in these groups, there will be the review of things like, here are the different awards and recognitions that this book's gotten. Here is the rationale that was selected or that was used to select the book. Here is the way the book is used within the curriculum and to meet these standards, right? So the teachers on the committee or the group is likely going to have that kind of information, but then they're going to have to go through and analyze those sections that come up with a concern to see if any of those things cross a bright line, right? That make it that lean it over to being.
right, but aren't most of these books going to have all of these in there, or at least multiple, right?
Some of the books may have some of those, but it's to me, the biggest difference is it adult content, where it's a more mature book? Is it describing a journey through adolescence? Is it, should it be behind the, brown paper at 7-Eleven, right? I mean, it's going to have to kind of be reviewed against those sorts of criteria.
Gotcha.
And am I reading this correctly? 1, 2, and it ends with and, 2 ends with and then 3 is or. So you have to have 1 and 2 have to be 1, 2, and 3 would have to be established, all 3. Or
3 and 4.
you can have 4 on its own or 5 on its own. Right?
And things like this is an example of the flow chart that they will be using on things, right? So you'll start here. Does the material contain sensitive material as defined in these 2 statutes, which is kind of what you're reading, right? Yes, then we do this. Is there an exemption or no, right? And so they're going to have like these flow charts that they're going to be able to kind of follow and go through as a committee and a team and work through that process with this particular, with any challenged materials or books. So there are actually several of these samples that they can use.
Cool.
Yeah, because that seems fun.
We needed more processes.
It's a lengthy process. There are 2 main appendices and main sheets that are kind of referenced in the policy there that you'd be doing. So there is a vetting, right? So you'll be vetting and then there is the appeal. Okay.
Okay. So we have some other comments we have to read or?
Sure.
Yeah, go with these. Okay, I'm gonna move to public comment. Second, as I move down here. So as far as public comment, the Board of Education wants to hear live input from the community members at our meetings. In order to respect and preserve the allotted time, each presenter on the agenda or each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Speakers representing a group will be limited to 5. If you wish to address the board, please read and complete the public comment sheet on the table. It's this blue sheet up here. So if there's anybody else that hasn't, please come up and do that. And please pass it to Lori. The Board of Education expects that all public comments will be polite, respectful, and accurate. Please refrain from specifically identifying personnel. Personnel issues are not appropriate for public comment. Therefore, such comment will not be allowed. I'm also going to read this. The board serves as the final appeal of a request to reconsider or review curriculum and library materials in order to serve in the capacity with integrity. We are unable to hear concerns about any materials as a body before it has gone through the committee process outlined in 9050. So please refrain from public comments that include discussions, mention of any books that are under the challenge or review process. Currently, the book that is under review is The Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. We thank you for your adherence, and then we request so that we don't invalidate our ability, if called, to be the final appeal. We also understand that a criminal investigation has been opened regarding this, and we will not be commenting on any open investigations. So from there, I will allow Melissa, if you'd like to join us at the rostrum. And if you just state your name.
Hi, I'm Melissa Nikolai. I'm not here to convince anyone or to change any minds. I know that there's a foregone conclusion with this meeting and with these bills, but I just really needed to speak as an English teacher for my profession, for my colleagues, and for myself, so that you could hear another side. I guess it needs to be said for the record that no teacher anywhere is teaching pornography. That's not what we do. That's not who we are. Because of this absurd belief, those behind House Bill 374 have done a grave and damaging disservice to your students in all grade levels. They've shut down an opportunity for teenagers to come together and have rich discussions about what it means to be human. You have no idea the depth of experience that's being lost. Great literature is, by definition, never pornographic. Yet by definition, it absolutely will contain sensitive material, because a powerful book reflects life, which is filled with sensitive material. An impactful book is a microcosm of life and a reflection of the shared humanity that complex characters struggle through on their journey towards transformation. It's the flawed characters that we respond to as we process judgment, indignation, and outrage from their painful life situations that make a story worth reading. And it is precisely the sensitive material that is pinnacle to the character's transformation. Through a character's struggles and failures, students reflect on their own values, beliefs, and experiences, and grapple with making their own meaning in the world. To have these discussions is one of the greatest pleasures of being their teacher. This is the purpose of great literature, to develop more empathetic human beings. For what are we as a society if we have no empathy for each other? You shortchange your students' potential as a fully complex human when you limit their ability to read great books together. If books scare you, if you don't want your students exposed to reflection and deeper thinking, then I can and will always offer an alternative. Is it fair, though, to insist that the book is banned for every student? I know I've lost this most precious teaching experience. but I had to speak what's in my heart so it doesn't simmer into a rot of resentment that makes me shut down in depression. The teachers in Park City School District don't teach pornography. In fact, the books that you deem pornographic are some of the most beautiful books I've ever read in my life. I've used them to encourage, support, guide, and love your kids on their journey to their best selves. HB 374 just crushed an opportunity to connect students with each other and to create a shared community of powerful conversations. Thank you for letting me get that off my chest.
You were most emotional.
Well, I'm not known for being emotional, am I? I, first of all, want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today and for the work that you all do to keep things moving under very challenging conditions. And thank you all for the careful explanation and discussion tonight of those policies, 950 and 951. I'm a parent in the Park City School District. My name is Barry Ann Cohen Rothschild. I am a freelance writer and an editor, and currently my primary client is a children's news magazine. This is a career that took hold while I was still in high school, interning for local newspapers. I have a thing for the First Amendment. I love it. It's one of my very favorite things about being American. Also, I earned a bachelor's degree in English and American literature, so I have some background in this. I'm here to say today that while my love of the written word developed early, it was in high school and in college that I fell in love with the way literature can move us to think differently. The conversation is at its richest when we tackle topics that make us uncomfortable or challenge our beliefs. I'm here to say I have one graduate of Park City High School and one current student in Melissa Nicolai's class. And I'm so grateful. I'm a parent who has volunteered hundreds of hours, maybe thousands, I haven't counted, to support our teachers and our students, including service on the Novel Adoption Committee. I approach that role with the idea that literature assigned by teachers or made available in their classrooms for students to read offer families the opportunities to learn together about different points of view and to discuss those ideas in the context of their own family values. I have a thing for teachers being free to choose works that they feel would enhance our children's worldview. I'm here to say, I trust our teachers to develop curriculum and utilize texts they believe will promote critical thinking skills in our students. I have thousands of dinner table debates to prove that this is working. I've lost most of the dinner table debates for the proof it's working. I trust my own family, in fact, to explore the issues and ideas presented in literature in ways that both challenge and complement our thinking. This is the way that kids and families learn about cultures and norms that differ from their own. I trust our teachers to communicate with our students that literature study is the home base for respectful and thoughtful exchange of ideas. I'm proud, really proud to say that this has been my experience of my children's teachers, all 15 years worth. Please continue as you have to support their work so that they may choose their curriculum with the sound judgment they exhibit. Thank you.
Kathy Lynn.
Thank you for the opportunity. I need my glasses and I need my notes because I get nervous. My name is Kathy Lanigan. I'm the parent of 3 Park City High School graduates. I have served on ECHR, Treasure, and high school PTAs, school community councils, and I'm currently on the Park City Education Foundation Board, on the Friends of the Park City Library Board, and on the University of Michigan English Department Advisory Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, especially during Band Book Week. On the question of approving texts for use in the classrooms, I respectfully ask this board to consider the imperative of sending our students out into the world prepared to engage with everything they will encounter there, not only what they encountered in their own homes and families. I respectfully ask this board to weigh the fact that we have the best and most accomplished faculty in the state who come to serve our students only after years of education, training, experience, extensive vetting, and certification. Our educators work diligently to find texts which engage our students while building the skills proscribed by core curriculum and state standards. With humility and gratitude to this board, I am asking that the inclusion of texts by and about people from marginalized and underrepresented communities be treated as the priority it is. This district has invested substantial resources toward a more diverse and inclusive educational experience, meaning that there is both urgent need and great value in maintaining an arsenal of literature from the widest possible spectrum of sources. We have all heard the argument that teachers should just stick to teaching the classics. I ask this board to ponder the number of classics which were challenged and banned upon publication. Huckleberry Finn, The Grapes of Wrath, Ulysses, Catcher in the Rye, all of which have been challenged. So which classics will meet every parent's approval? I humbly submit that unless you are discussing Dick and Jane, you will make someone uncomfortable. Lastly, it goes without saying that every parent has the right to question, investigate, and filter what their own children have access to. That right does not extend to other people's children. I am so grateful for this time. Thank you.
Again, I want to echo what the last several people have said. I am deeply appreciative of everything you do in your time. My name is Miriam Etchell. I have two 19-year-olds who spent the majority of their education in Park City school districts. And I wanted to tell a personal story. When my son was at Jeremy, he read a book that was a school, they had a choice, I found out. He read a book that I found so offensive. And it was called The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. And I had never heard of it. I was reading it with him and we talked about it at the dinner table for many nights. I didn't complain to the teacher. I certainly didn't complain to the administration in that school that I think very highly of. I think our kids have been taught so well in Park City about how they can entertain different thoughts and ideas. And, you know, my kids are 19, so I've had a lot of kids in my house over the years. And I want to echo what other people said. I trust the teachers, but I trust the kids to be able to handle complicated ideas. And I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Joanna?
I'm here to discuss how this discussion has affected teachers specifically, not the policies themselves. I'm Joanna. I'm a mother of children in this district, a wife, a sister, a daughter, a friend, and I'm a teacher. I want to address the concerned parents in this room and who may be watching this live stream. I know you love your students. I do too. I also know that you are trying to do what you think is best for them, but I came here today to plead for decency and common sense. I came here today to put a face on the target and express my deep sadness. Some might say I'm naive, but I also came here hoping I could diffuse the anger and resentment. I love teaching and I'm honored to teach your students. You will not find another teacher who loves her job more than I do. But the constant threat of harassment, as you can see, is taking that love and honor away from me. I promise you and everyone in this room and anyone who may be watching that I do my very best for your children every single day and that I have no agenda. I promise you that we have no agenda. We strive to connect with your learners in a meaningful way and provide them the content approved by the Utah State Board of Education. Why aren't our promises enough? I've worked in this district for a few short years, but in that time I've witnessed the most skilled, most dedicated educators I've ever had the pleasure of working with. They plan, create, and inspire every single day. They put your students first, but this atmosphere of distrust and these efforts to torment and bully, and I mean torment and bully, have fostered fear and resulted in broken hearts within our profession and in this district. I would just like to know, and I'm not posing this question to you, I'm posing it to the senders of emails and messages. Why aren't we valued anymore? Why aren't we trusted? What have we done to lose your trust? Please help us stay in our chosen profession. Please leave us alone and trust us to do our very best for your children. I am not being hyperbolic when I say that we don't know how much longer we can hold on. Board members, before I yield, I want to thank you for your time. And I'm asking you to shield us from this barrage of hysteria and anger that we are encountering on a daily basis. And I beg you to communicate with us and tell us how you're going to protect us. Thank you.
Thank you guys who have all spoken. We started public comment a few minutes early. I know a few more people have walked in. So if there's anybody else that would like to speak and did not fill out a blue form, please do. I think I have one thing filled out right now, so I'll wait until. You can keep it really brief and do it after. It makes it easy. Come on up. Just come on up and say your name. Yeah, come on. Come join us.
Okay. Hi, I'm Zoe Otto. I'm a student at PCHS. I'm a junior, and I just wanted to say that, you know, books have changed my life. I think all of us have a book that has like really opened our eyes that no movie or show or whatever could, you know, change how we look at the world. And I think for us to decide to ban books is, I don't know, really heartbreaking, because we need to have controversy and be exposed to that, because we're going to be, and we have to have mature discussions about things, you know, instead of having an angry environment. Why not have an educational environment, and just to learn other perspectives through books? And yeah, I don't see why we should be taking these away. And I understand parents are angry, but you know, and I realize there's a lot of hate towards teachers from parents, and I think that's just not right. And yeah, anyways, we need books.
First off, thank you everyone for coming up here. I think I'm going to speak on behalf of the whole board that in no way, shape, or form do we approve banning of books. It is something as a board we are looking to do. We all have students in this district. We all trust and adore every one of you and what you do with our children every day. So I want you to know that from the depths of us, that we wholeheartedly stand behind you guys. We understand these laws are really hard to put in, and we're kind of put sometimes in that position that we don't really have other ways around them except to try to support and build structures that we can as this goes and moves forward. So please know that we are standing here with you guys. I don't know, anybody else before we go through and has any comments or what's speak?
Well, please don't hesitate to read like how we can support as well in ways.
I have a question. I mean, we have policy 9050 that's in place specifically for this. You know, 9051 is taking it to a different level, which is creating a, I don't know what you call it, like a culture agency or some kind of ridiculous, process and all of that. So, I mean, we do have a choice, right? Which is just not to approve policy 9051 and be in violation of state law, right? I mean, that's our choice.
Or I wonder.
Or challenge it.
I wonder if anybody might challenge the constitutionality of that particular.
Right, I mean, or we can, right? I mean, it's not, that's our job, right? Like, we were elected to represent our constituents and foreign policy that represents the constituents. And if we don't believe that it's policy of merit, and we already are allowing opt-outs, and we already are, going through a process to a pretty clear curriculum, and we're allowing for parents to appeal when they find stuff offensive. I don't see why we need to approve 51. I mean, personally, I'm okay with just keeping 9050, which is how we've been going for quite some time. And it seems to be working pretty well. And just not approve this and see what happens. Right?
What are repercussions of not approving it?
Well, we
We
can
don't
get,
know.
well, we'd have to challenge it.
Right, I'm gonna look at Todd and Dr. Gilday, just so that we understand. what that means.
Todd doesn't care, he's out here.
Todd's like, yeah, sure, that's.
Todd, don't say anything. Todd, don't say anything.
That's like, sure, my
Just say,
last month.
Todd, stay quiet, stay quiet.
He's just like, no, the word's no.
So part of the adoption of House Bill 374, along with the state board, it does, so the school board, right, all of you are locally elected as an arm of the state, right? So you are our local version of USBE, right? So USBE has said, the legislators have told USBE, you will have this, training, you will, make sure you have a model policy, and then, we were able to get it extended to October 1st since the model policy didn't come out until July. But it is a state law, so.
Could we consider looking in the constitutionality of it as an infringement on students' First Amendment rights by denying them the ability to have access to certain materials, that this creates an unnecessary, unconstitutional barrier and infringes on those rights? Some 90, to Tammy's point, we have a process in place to vet and review materials that infringe on other rights and not exposing to all of the listed pornographic and so could we
We can do it.
into the
That's what we're
Constitution?
elected to do. We can.
Right, why don't we
challenge
look into
it.
the constitutionality? Why
Moffett
don't
should
we,
get
I
some more
know
hours.
Mark's here. Yeah.
Get in that new car, Mark. Happiest guy in the room right there.
What's that? So there is a fiscal consequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any board policy or state law that's not complied with.
Right.
I believe will withhold the minimum school program distributions.
Okay.
In our case, since most of that's collected property tax, it means that our bank accounts would be frozen until resolution is
What
found.
about, so would they do that in the process? Could they do they have to wait for determination? Like, could we challenge it and then
Could we
comply
adopt,
with it?
could we adopt it and then challenge it? Is that so that we're not freezing our
Or
assets?
could we
Is
not
that-
adopt it
Well-
and not challenge it? And do they freeze after a decision or do they freeze during a process?
So there's usually a period of grace to
Yeah,
work out a resolution. And should that process fail,
Then they freeze.
Then things are frozen until you come
Mhm.
into compliance. So there's a window of time. It's not a known
Mhm.
time. Typically, it's 30 to 60 days. But so you have a little window where on the,
Mhm.
let's say it's the 20th,
Uh-huh.
you got 10 days
Mhm.
to have a conversation to see what the pushback would be. But other than that, we're pretty much required.
Can we send this back to the drawing board, or do we have to take it
So
as
there's,
is?
there's a model policy that, so the model policy is even longer than our policy. So our team worked with the USBA attorney for, I want to say, several hours. It was not just a 1 hour meeting. It was, Lindsay, 4 hours.
Multiple days.
Multiple days. So so what you have in front of you is the best match that we could possibly make to the model policy that our educators actually had the chance to review with an external attorney who is expert in this particular, policy. My only other concern would be if there is an open criminal investigation and you don't adopt the policy, does it put us at greater risk? I don't know the answer.
Well, it's the same
I
process.
wouldn't, yeah, and it's a different, like,
So
that's
it's
under
determined
this
by the
policy.
courts.
That is not, that same
Okay.
process is criminal state code, right?
Yeah, it's different.
It's not the policy 950.
And our policy includes the bare minimum to meet statute. I mean, Heidi and I, along with the rest of the team, scaled back from the model policy in an effort to protect our stakeholders.
So I don't think we can do too much more with it other than.
Right, so we couldn't, so this is what the best it maybe
This
would
is the
look
best
like.
it
Okay, so we have that, we know what that looks like.
Okay, so we're talking about 9051.
Yes,
So can we revise
9050 looks.
and put back a motion to approve 90,
Well, first we have to vote on this.
But
this one,
so
and
you
then,
have the two, so you can do a motion to divide.
yeah,
And divide 950 from 950.
Doesn't 9050 incorporate 9051?
no,
No.
they're two separate on there, so we can just divide the.
There's just updates.
So can I get a motion to amend or divide,
To
to
adopt.
vote and pull out 9051 to adopt as stated?
To
9050,
9050.
sorry, 9050.
I make a motion to adopt 950 as stated here.
Okay, 90/50.
90/50.
I second that.
That's our original one, Andrew.
Yep, and then
Right.
just some minor edits that allow us to, the superintendent's designee or the Department of Teaching and Learning rather than calling it CAO, so it's not a huge, it's not substantive change.
And then it lasts for 3 years. The challenge, that's an added provision at the end there.
Is that in 50?
Yeah, that's in 50,
Well,
950.
90/50.
It does reference policy 9051 within it though.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. Okay.
And the appendices are different and the forms are slightly different and the makeup of the committee is slightly different, which is why there are two. That's why they're separated.
But you couldn't incorporate 9051 within
We
it. Where is
tried.
I know.
Yeah, I used
To
that.
blend them.
But where is 9051?
Where does it say it? Where's the
Response.
reference?
I,
Reference.
towards the bottom, not 5I. It references the.
Materials utilizing current guidance for USB and if applicable, maybe it won't be applicable. Policy 9051.
That's fine because it wouldn't be applicable. It
Right.
doesn't exist.
If it
Right.
doesn't exist, so I think we're okay.
You can also take a motion to amend those words out. Adopt that.
Yeah.
Amendment and then go through.
Just take it out.
Okay.
Do we,
I don't know the integrity of the rest of the document.
Yeah.
It just adds the 3.
It's two different things. This one's more your core instruction materials, the other one's your library.
do we want to discuss with Mark about
I think we're
this?
taking it a review. Yeah.
Like we can go into close and discuss it. given
Yeah.
it's- I mean, that's kosher, right?
Be available.
Yeah, I would make a motion to, yeah, we can't.
But we
can-
can
we have
call
the
a
ability
motion,
to
we have
call
the
it.
ability.
So in the header says coordinate vote.
Yeah.
Okay,
I make a motion to move into close, to talk about reasonable pending litigation
okay.
with our legal counsel.
I second the motion.
All right. Yep, great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. All right, let's move into close.
Did I answer the question?
Yes.
Or, did I- okay.
No, yes.
No, but it's an interesting, there's a lot of people, some of a lot of people I don't know. You're more politically active, so what's the
Different set of certificates.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I could have grabbed you some. I got it.
All right.
This one's, they've been right here.
I dropped it.
All right. Reconvene. All right, so the policies that we have on the table are 90-50 and 90-51. So
I would like to make a motion to remove 90-51 separately from 90-50 and assess them separately.
yeah,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so now we'll move to, let's just put 90-50,
Which is the current policy.
which is the current policy, so just need,
So you wanted to amend that?
I
Yeah, I
need to,
make-
yes.
I'll make amend, or do you want to suggest something? I'll make a suggestion to amend policy 90-50 to remove 5.
90-51.
No, which section is it?
It's I,
Oh, yeah.
remove the statement about 90-51.
Yeah, so in 5I, removing that section. That
Removing the
references
ref-
policy 90-51.
Okay. Perfect.
I second.
Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Okay. And now can I get a motion on the table to actually send
We
policy
gotta approve.
approved? Oh, 90-50. I thought we just said.
To amend it.
Oh, yeah, to amend it.
We amended
We
it,
amended
now
it.
we're
Okay.
gonna vote.
Approve it.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve 90-50 as amended?
I make a motion to approve 90-50 as amended.
Second,
Second.
any discussion?
No.
Okay, perfect. And all in favor? Aye. There's a lot going on. Okay, can I please get a motion to send policy 90-51 back to the committee to assess the constitutional issues with this policy?
Make a motion to send 90-51 back to the committee.
I'll second that.
Perfect. Any discussion?
Nope.
No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that settles our. And we will now take this time to adjourn until our actually special session meeting on Friday at 8:30 p.m. I'm gonna own you. Huh?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Yeah.
Thank you for the